Hi, I'm Katrin from Exali, and for today's interview, I will be joined by Nick Oestreich, who works for Uplink. While the company is based in Berlin, Nick travels around the world and works from wherever he goes. He just loves remote working. If you are interested in finding out whether remote work is something for you, then stay tuned and see what Nick answers to my questions regarding remote work. Hi, Nick. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you had worked remotely in South Africa, then you were in Lisbon, and now you're at the Algarve, right? What is the attraction for you of working remotely in these different locations?
So I would say also while already working for my current company, Uplink in Berlin, I always made use of like workations or been working remotely for 2 months at several locations. And at this point where you decided in your life that you would like most of the time to see different places and travel a lot, it comes to the practical questions you're considering about having like a permanent place and paying rent all the time to when you're not at your place anyway for like 6 months. So I was coming back from working 2 months remotely from Italy, and then kind of out of a mood, considering it for like 2 or 3 days. I just asked my boss if it's possible to always work remotely, and yeah, then I got the confirmation, and 3 months later I started.
It basically sounds like paradise. From what I see in your background, it also looks like paradise. Working and living where others go on vacation. Do you also get to enjoy these places, or is it just a nice backdrop now that we are in this Zoom meeting? Do you get to have a little bit of vacation staying there?
Absolutely. I think especially when it comes to the weekend or like when you finish work, you totally get that. But you need to be aware that that you go mainly to a place to completely work there. For example, when I was in Cape Town, I was there for like almost 2 months, and I worked there without having like any day off. There were like no holidays. I mean, of course, you have the weekend off, but first you need to get in the mindset of working. So what's really helpful for me is always like mostly I'm always renting a co-working space here. In that case, where I'm now at the Algarve, I have a bigger flat where I have like an own office, and I'm here together with my boyfriend. So it's pretty nice because we're both working all the day. But I always need that kind of artificial office environment, even though I could go in a cafe or work completely alone. But the surrounding of an office around some people, being surrounded by some people who are working as well, is really key for me to get in the working mindset. But then, of course, when it comes to the weekend and you can explore like new neighborhoods, explore like new environments around the town you're staying, that's totally the case where I still get the holiday vibes, and it feels like so much easier to recover comparing to being in Germany at the same place all the time, where sometimes the Saturdays just tend to be like a list full of errands you have to run, right?
Okay, so basically you have this beautiful vacation whenever you are on off time. Are there
Exactly.
other advantages that you see for working remotely?
I think, of course, but I think that's also like a personal thing, but also like could be also related to work. I mean, even when you're just traveling in Europe, for example, you always learn like kind of new cultures. Here in Portugal, there are like many Brazilian people. You kind of get how they are doing business, how their mindset is, especially in the co-working places. And in general, for me personally, it's always like one step out of the comfort zone. When you don't know the language, I'm starting to learn Portuguese now. I started to learn a bit of Spanish. It's always you get like kind of a wider and more open mindset, and then in the end, that's also good for like creating new businesses and for your own work, I guess.
Yeah, I see. I mean, meeting lots of people is always good if you're doing business. And you get a chance to meet people you usually would never have the chance to meet. Yeah. Are there also disadvantages of you working remotely that you experienced?
Of course, I think you always need to be aware that if you really want to be working remotely and being productive, and your job might not be something like graphic design, not putting any levels here, like graphic design or something that you can do without having being in touch with clients, for example, that you kind of need to put an effort to organize all your all day life really precisely. So, for example, when I started, I had made up that idea. I want to work remotely. The plan was like to change locations every 4 to 6 weeks, and then travel a lot and meet like tons of people. And now, after doing it for like 8 months, I'm more like I want to stay at one place like 3 or even 4 months to kind of build that routine. When you have a co-working space, when you have your sports place and stuff, these are the things that are important to me. Um, yeah, it's like totally, you need to be aware that there's a lot of planning in advance, because you need the co-working, you need always like a place where you can stay. Maybe you want to have a place where you can stay a bit more long term. I mean, it's not completely the same effort as renting a flat in Germany or even in Berlin, for example, but still it's like a lot of effort you need to put in advance. And that's just something I wouldn't say is a disadvantage, but you should be aware of that it's not just like doing work and travel with a backpack when you're off for 1 year. It's things that are additionally on your bucket list on a day-to-day life.
I see. So of course there's a lot of organizing and planning to do if you set your life up in basically a new country every other week. So if I, for example, as a freelancer, planned to work remotely only, what do you think I should pay special attention to? I mean, with my employer that I don't have if I'm a freelancer, but clients, accessibility, the internet connection, or insurances, stuff like that.
Absolutely. So I think, especially when you work as a freelancer, I mean, you don't have a permanent employee as I do, for example, because for me it was pretty easy. I can just work abroad for the same company. So work-wise, there was not too much changing for me. I think first you need to be like really aware of your industry, about the hourly rate. You can ask as maybe the things you already know when you work a few years as a freelancer in Germany. But the most important thing, of course, of being abroad is also making some money that you can still afford your normal life. So you need to be aware if there are enough remote projects for the field you're working in. I think especially when it comes to IT, most clients are like really easygoing when you work with startups. And yeah, if you're like, as long as you're registered in Germany, but you're for a longer time working remotely, that's often not a big deal. But when it comes to like IT security issues, sometimes we had the thing that the client in Germany couldn't even send the hardware to a freelancer in Austria. So that are like things you might be not aware on the first side, but you should be really aware when going long term, working remotely, or even leaving your place in Germany. I think for most of the freelancers, it's still, and that's the case. I see how most of our freelancers are doing it as well. They're having a company in Germany and then they're traveling, but they're still kind of living part-time in Germany.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, it goes back to where you're registered, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And besides that, of course, you need to be aware which kind of equipment you need to work remotely. Where do you want to work remotely? For example, like it's like basic things, but sometimes in some countries you might need like a co-working space. When I was in Cape Town, it's a really common thing there that in summer often they have like load shedding. So basically during the day I was 2 or 3 hours without electricity. I knew that in advance because I have some friends there, and I knew, okay, in the co-working they will have like a generator. But the friend I was with her in Cape Town, she also works in sales, and in the end she had like no internet. She didn't know what to do, and her battery was running low. It's like a bit of research when you go, especially to like the third world countries or other places than Europe. But besides that, I think everyone can more and more people should work remotely, and that's exactly what also is happening kind of like now. So many friends who thought they could never work remotely, including me 2 years ago, it's just working super fine.
Yeah, what you're saying, I mean, also you have to adapt to different circumstances quite quickly. Our CEO Ralph Günther had similar circumstances in February, where he had to work from a camper van because his girlfriend had caught corona. So could you imagine something like that for you, like getting a van and just going where there's nice internet connection by a lake and just work from a van all the time?
I think for me personally, the idea sounds greater than it might be in the end. There are like two things why I think personally I couldn't do it. The first thing is I don't really enjoy driving, and as living in Berlin for 4.5 years, there was no need ever to take a car. And also before that, I mean, I have a driver license, but I'm really not a fan of driving. So that might be a bit difficult. Of course, I think like also for sustainable reasons, it's much more sustainable driving through Europe and having like a slow pace travel with the van than flying and changing locations. That's for sure. But also, I really enjoy being at one place for like a longer time. Like even if it's just like 2 months and then I'm changing again, I really like to have that spot where my routine is, my co-working space and everything. And it's I think like traveling with a van for like a couple of weeks with a friend or something while not working, I can totally imagine. But also, I really see it as a challenging thing, even if you just need your laptop or something. If you really live in the van and work in the rain, imagine like it's 3 days rainy or something. I don't know if I would be the type for doing that.
But in general, you are quite the advocate for remote work. So do you think everybody should basically try out to work remotely, or do you think remote work will get even more important in the future?
I think absolutely, especially in the future, will become like more and more relevant. And also, it's a great opportunity for companies to basically talk to all the great talent we have around Europe. Like, for example, in our team, we have another colleague who is living in Valencia, and she's German. She works in the same business, just living there, and she can work for us. And if we would have the rule, you need to be in the office all the time. You can't talk to this kind of talent as well. In general, I think it also depends a lot about on your current situation. What do you want to do? What's important to you when it comes to work, and also at which point you are at your career. For example, talking about myself directly after being graduated, I think I wouldn't enjoy it too much to get a fully remote job, meeting a new team, working the first time 40 hours and having all these cultural new things. How is the company working? How is the team? What are the employees expecting of me? That's maybe a bit different. I had the privilege with Uplink that I worked for the company for like 1.5 years. So I know the values, I know the colleagues, I know the KPIs, I know kind of what to do and what people are expecting from me. And then going remotely is super easy. And also after working 2 or 3 years, I think starting a completely new remote job, it would be also a bit different because you're already in the working context. And but besides that, I think when you already have a bit of working experience, or even when you may be a student and you now during COVID you finished your degree completely remotely, working already remotely, you can also start completely. It's just like a type of a personality. But in general, I think more and more companies should, and they actually can, and they do go remotely all the time. Just like some things like an initial onboarding at the company's headquarters for like 1 or 2 weeks are really essential to onboard the people and tell them about the values, about the mission of the company. We did that in Berlin with new employees as well. I think that's super important because then you're remotely, you already have that kind of personal touch with the team.
Okay, well, it was very interesting. Thank you, Nick, for your time. Do you already know where you're going next?
So now I'm still at the Algarve, and next week I'm going to Lisbon, where I will stay a bit more long term. So I have like a solution where I can stay like up to half a year. But in between, I already have some trips planned. As I have a friend is getting married, so her bachelor party will be in Paris, and then I'm in Berlin for 2 weeks. But then due to the weather, I'm going back to Portugal.
Wow. Okay. Thanks again, and safe travels to Paris, Portugal, and wherever you're going next.
Thanks so much. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon button so that we can tell you whenever we post a new video. If you are thinking of working remotely, there is one thing you do not have to worry about, and that is your professional indemnity insurance if you are insured with exali. We offer worldwide coverage, and the only thing that really matters is where your place of residence, your place of business is. If that is in a European country that we provide insurance for, you're on the safe side.